You refresh the app at 9:31 a.m., then again at 9:47, then once more at 10:03, right after you told yourself you wouldn't look until Friday. The number is slightly red. Your chest tightens. You close the app. You open it again 3 minutes later, as if the market might have rewritten itself in the time it took you to pour a cup of coffee. You're not trading. You're not making decisions. You're not even planning to do anything with the information. You're just checking and checking and checking. This looks like diligence. It feels like responsibility, but it's actually something else entirely. Something that has almost nothing to do with the number on the screen and everything to do with what your brain is trying to solve. So why does someone who knows better, someone who understands that markets move in decades, not days, still feel compelled to look every single morning? Let's get one thing clear before we go any further. You are not bad with money. You are not undisciplined. You are not making some fundamental investing mistake that you should have outgrown by now. This behavior makes perfect sense. It is your brain doing exactly what brains do when they encounter something that matters deeply but can't be controlled. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're responding to a very specific set of signals that your nervous system was never designed to process. Your brain is trying to protect you. It's just using tools that were built for a different kind of danger. You wake up. Before your feet touch the floor, your hand reaches for the phone. The portfolio app is usually still open from the night before, sitting there like an unanswered question. The number appears, you scan it, you feel something, relief if green, a small deflation if red, then you start your day. Maybe you check again at lunch, maybe in line at the grocery store, maybe during a meeting, phone hidden under the table, a quick glance that no one notices but you feel guilty about anyway. You're not acting on anything. You're not rebalancing. You're not selling. You're just looking. The looking is the whole activity. The looking is what your brain wants. What's happening here is something behavioral economists call the illusion of control, but that term is too clean. It doesn't capture the texture of the experience. What you're really doing is trying to reduce uncertainty through attention, as if watching the number carefully enough will somehow prevent it from falling too far. The market is a vast, impersonal, incomprehensible system. It moves for reasons you will never fully know, driven by forces you will never fully see. That's terrifying. So your brain does something clever. It substitutes a manageable activity, checking, for an impossible one, controlling. If you check, you know. And knowing, even if the news is bad, feels better than not knowing. The uncertainty is the real discomfort. The loss is secondary. Think about waiting for a text message from someone you care about. You check your phone, nothing. You put it down. 30 seconds later, you check again. Nothing has changed. You know nothing has changed. The phone would have buzzed, but you check anyway. This is the same mechanism. The checking reduces the anxiety of not knowing, even if it cannot change the content of the message. The act of looking creates a tiny, temporary relief, and then the relief fades and you need to look again. Now apply this to money that took you years to earn, money that represents future security, future freedom, future choices. The stakes are higher than a text message, but the brain's solution is identical. This checking behavior once served you. In other contexts, vigilance is survival. When you were building your first emergency fund, checking the balance regularly helped you stay on track. When you were paying down debt, watching the number decrease was motivating. Attention to money was a skill you developed, and it worked. The problem isn't the attention. The problem is that the attention has nowhere productive to go. You notice something strange. On days the market is up, you check less. The green number settles something in you. You can go hours without looking. You almost forget the app exists. But on red days, the checking accelerates. You look more often. You look at individual holdings. You look at financial news sites. You look at commentary from people you don't even respect. The anxiety drives the behavior, and the behavior deepens the anxiety. This is loss aversion in its purest form. The pain of seeing a dollar lost is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of seeing a dollar gained. But here's the nuance most people miss. The checking isn't about the money, it's about the feeling the money produces. When the portfolio is green, the feeling is quiet. There's nothing to solve. Your brain can rest. But when the portfolio is red, the feeling is loud. It demands attention. And your brain, being a problem-solving machine, responds by gathering more information, more data points, more refreshes. The tragedy is that more information about a loss does nothing to reverse the loss. It only extends the duration of the discomfort. Imagine walking through a dark house at night. You hear a noise. You freeze. Your senses sharpen. You're gathering information. That's useful. That's survival. Now imagine you hear the noise, freeze, and then just stand there for hours, listening, not moving, not turning on lights, not investigating, just listening. That's daily portfolio checking on a down market day. The information gathering has no purpose beyond the gathering itself. This hypervigilance once served you. In a different financial era, perhaps when you had less margin for error, paying close attention to every fluctuation made sense. If a few $100s moved the needle on your ability to pay rent, you needed to know. That attention was appropriate to the circumstance. But circumstances change. The habit remains. You have a plan. You've read the books. You understand that time in the market beats timing the market. You know that the worst days are often followed by the best days. You have a long horizon. You're not touching this money for 15, 20, 30 years. And yet, you check it every day, sometimes multiple times, sometimes when you know nothing has changed, sometimes when you've promised yourself you wouldn't. And yet, here's what's true. This does not make you a bad investor. It does not make you undisciplined or any of the other words people use to describe financial behavior they don't understand. It makes you someone who cares, someone who is paying attention, someone whose money means something more than numbers on a screen. Maybe the checking will ease over time. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will transform into something else entirely as your life and your relationship with money continue to evolve. But right now, in this season, this is how you stay connected to a future you're building one contribution at a time. This is how you remind yourself that you're still moving forward, even on the days the number moves backward. You are not failing at some imagined standard of perfect financial behavior. You are being human in the presence of uncertainty, and that is not a problem to solve. It's just a person checking on something that matters, trying to feel okay in a world that rarely offers guarantees. And that makes complete sense.